What is up, everybody? My name is Andrew, and welcome to Space Engineers Survival 2024 bonus episode. This is not a survival episode. We are going to be in creative mode. Actually, I'll just go ahead and throw ourselves in creative mode right there, because this is a behind-the-scenes bonus episode, an after-action report, if you will, where we're going to go around checking out all the bases we created, talking about them a little bit, talking about things we had planned for the series that didn't pay off, things that we had planned that did, and of course, my favorite, comparing the Snowstorm, which we have right in front of us, to the Sandstorm, which was the original design of this ship. We just heavily modified it in this series. But yeah, the 2024 survival series is over at this point. The last episode came out last week. So yeah, we're looking forward to the 2025 survival series, which is going to start in front of a mysterious planet. We're not, of course, in front of that. That's actually in a different world. We did a little bit of movie magic to make it like kind of jump from this world to the next. But yeah, we're going to start in that interesting, mysterious starting location. And that's probably going to come out in the next 2 weeks or so. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, the 2024 survival series I thought went pretty well. All in all, I mean, the Snowstorm is definitely a really, really good thing that came out of that series. So just looking at this, you can see that obviously something went pretty well if we were able to build this monstrosity. And by monstrosity, I mean that in the most loving way possible. I love the Snowstorm. It looks great. Even if this one is a little bit damaged, I'm going to have to make sure I fix these things before I upload it to the workshop. But anyways, yeah, this series lasted only 1 year, and I'm very happy with how that turned out. The 1 year thing kind of kept things moving. By contrast, the 2021 survival series lasted 3 years. And if you've ever done a series yourself, you'll know that it's kind of hard to find a stopping point for a series unless you kind of tell yourself where you're going to start and stop at the start of it. I think doing things weekly and having a stopping point being, 1 year later kind of really kept things moving, and it's going to allow us to move into a very interesting segment of survival, I guess, which is going to be next series. We're going to have a bunch of fun story elements that I'm planning. I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to get those done, but we're going to figure it out. It's going to be cool. So yeah, 2024 survival series. Let's start by looking at the bases that we had. We're going to go over to my respawn pod. I accidentally respawned. Well, anyway, let's go fly over to our respawn pod, I guess. That is over there. I don't even know where we are. Oh, we actually are on Europa. Let me just real quick turn the time of day up like that using some creative mode tools. All right, and teleport. There we go. Okay, we're back here. Oh my gosh. Okay, we're starting immediately pointed at our solar things, which I have a little bit of guilt for because we always planned to make this a really cool base with its own defenses and stuff like that, but we never really got around to it. We did, of course, make this a little bit better over time, adding turrets and, adding this cool little wall sort of thing, but you can see some areas are unfinished. Ideally, we'd have some turrets over there, and ideally there would actually be something under this going all the way down to the tunnel, which we also didn't complete. But the solar towers, if you watch the entire series, you'll know that these were a bit troublesome. They kept getting destroyed by the Reavers. Basically, every time a Reaver attacked, we would lose one of these towers and half of another one or something like that, to the point where even one of them is still white because we never painted it the blue color again. Going down here, this is where we planned to have some sort of staircase, but we never got around to it. So let me turn on my light there. So we have it. But yeah, we were going to have some sort of staircase, and this was kind of planned out from episode 1 or 2 or something like that, where we had planned to do that. But of course, we never got around to it. And honestly, it wouldn't have been that big of a project, especially later game where we had the barista, we had tons of materials. I think it would have been a good thing for us to just kind of do, like take an hour and do. Same with this thing right here. Once we had the steamroller thing, the coffee, what do we call it? The coffee roaster. Once we had that, this project wouldn't have been that hard if we just decided to make this tunnel a little bit bigger and then use the steamroller for it. And it would have been pretty cool. Of course, this goes into this area, which is another bit of incomplete area. So this is actually the, oh man, I had such a fun time. This is probably one of my favorite sections of the series. This is where we did all the transmission stuff, where we have our status codes. We have all these things right here listening for signals, and then this kind of interpreting them, this sending them to a different place, and then this actually posting something that is meaningful to us. This right here, telling us where our little automated ships are. This could have gone a lot better. I think it went really well, so this actually works. It's just we didn't end up using it that often. So perhaps, expanding this, maybe I'll use this in the next series as well, since the scripts are already made. I don't need to spend another 4 hours trying to write all of them. I'm using this in a more expansive way, maybe even with automated drones that are like built at a base, maybe fighter drones. I can have one of these turn on whenever a fighter drone is created, and then it sort of becomes its little status monitor, and when the fighter drone is killed, you can actually see it here, and when it's out of ammo and stuff like that. I don't know. We might try and use this in some other way, but yeah, this was one of my favorite sections of the series where we really kind of went hard trying to get all this stuff to work. Let me turn this off, by the way, now that we know that these cause problems. Yeah, so they do cause lag, as we figured out last episode. But yeah, I'm very proud of this room. I really like it, especially over here. You know, you can see the solar tower outputs as well. It's very cool. It's a nice little overlook of, oh man, this is interesting to see. This is this is the hangar without the AMG Snowstorm in it because it's already taken off. Let's go down there. We had always planned to have a way down, by the way, from here, but we never figured out how to do it, or more like we never took the time to do it. So instead, we only have a way out up here, where you just go out onto the top of the hangar, leading us right here. So this is the hangar without the Snowstorm, and it's big. It's a big hangar. Part of it, I think, is, well, it's mostly complete, right? Actually, yeah, I think the wall is completely complete. Except that maybe we plan to have a hangar right there and maybe a couple more hangars down here. But yeah, it's pretty complete. This right here is something that we added in the end, of course, so that we could actually drive the coffee roaster, which itself is in pieces because I accidentally crushed it not once, but twice with the entirety of the AMG Snowstorm. It landed on it. So yeah, that was my fault. Sorry, coffee roaster. I didn't mean to do that one. But anyway, yeah, I'm pretty proud of this hangar. I think I probably could have spent a little bit more time making it look a little bit nicer on the sides. I'm happy with it, but it could look nicer. And especially when Space Engineers 2 comes around with all the unified grid stuff, we could probably do something like this a lot cooler. But yeah, overall, this is probably the largest hangar I've ever built, and I'm proud of it. I like it. Moving on up, we've got these giant weapons right here, which don't work if they accidentally fire themselves upside down, but they do for the most part work when fighting Reavers. You just have to reset them every now and then. I'm pretty proud of these. I think the design could use a little bit more work, but I got a couple comments from you guys saying that you actually like the design. So I think that's good enough for me. Little Reavertariums, I think is what someone was calling them, which I think I found pretty funny. On to the main base, we have our defense walls, of course, which this is, I do find this really funny because we never actually welded up this thing right there. Even though it probably would have taken 10 minutes of my time, we never actually finished up welding this guy. We welded the other side, and we even made an interior for the other side over here, but the original side over there, we just kind of never got around to. And I think probably a lot of you can relate to that if you have a Space Engineers base that you've spent a long time on. You probably have tasks like welding that or welding this that have just been kind of around for, you know, weeks and months, and you never really get around to doing it, which is, it's just kind of funny how that happens. I think that kind of happens in day-to-day life as well. Like, I've got items on my floor in another room that would literally take 2 minutes to put away, but they're on the floor. Well, I don't know. I just have to take those 2 minutes. I guess that naturally brings us to our little welding thing, and this actually worked pretty well. I didn't watch any tutorial on how to do this. This just kind of went based on the... this was pretty much just inspired by one of the title screen images, and it actually worked very well. So I'm proud of this thing. I'll probably end up doing this again in future series. Main base, let's go on in and see what we've got. I do really like this front section right here. It's got our to-do list, which we never really updated. But yeah, I like this front area because it's a remnant of the early part of the series. I think in episode 1, we actually set up this cargo container, survival kit, and battery. The fan right there, or the vent, probably came later, and so did the timers. But the initial 3 blocks right here, these were original. And in fact, this might be as well, this door, if it didn't get shot off at some point. But yeah, I really like that. Same with these doors, these windows right here. Even though the base kind of expanded a lot, those things never really moved, which is cool. It's cool to have little remnants of the base. I remember when we were building this thing, and it seemed like the most tedious thing ever to try and get everything pressurized and these long blocks built. This is when we kind of had only one assembler, and we had the refinery working overtime, and everything was slow trying to get all this stuff in. In fact, I just remember sitting around for like 2 hours putting all these blocks in and trying to figure out how I wanted this to work to make it look nice. And even trying, when this was a corner right here, trying to figure out how I'd make a corner look nice with these blocks right here. And I think we just gave up and used these. Yeah. Doesn't end up looking amazing, but yeah. I remember all the pain points right here. This area I do find that I really like. Having this little kind of upward room area, I think was an interesting little thing to put up. And it can look over the base, and I think that's a cool little area. This little walkway over here, never pressurized. I'm surprised actually. Oh, probably because of that. Well, we're in creative mode, so, well, no, we don't have a welder tool. But yeah, this thing looks kind of cool. I think we could have done a little bit more with it, but but I like it. Moving on down over here. Tell me if you get bored, by the way, of this giant tour. We have these sorter rooms, which was a long time ago that we set those up at this point. But yeah, this is something that I'm probably going to end up setting up in every single playthrough I do. Just some sort of way to sort our ores and our ingots so that you can just always have one container that you can go to and find all your ores or all your ingots or something like that. It works really well unless you want to actually pull ingots out, then it's a little bit tedious. But other than that, it's very nice. Over here, we've of course got our assembler room, which worked out pretty well. It's a little bit cramped, but yeah, it does what its job is, which is to assemble things. We've got our O2H2 room right here, which I kind of like because we have a hidden ice container down there, which stores all of our ice, kind of like those other things store all of our ores. But yeah, I do end up liking this room a little bit with a nice little cargo container. It's a good room. Over here, we've got what we had planned to have as our server room, and we never actually got around to adding too much here. We added a little bit, as you can see. We've got some custom turrets right here. We've got some sort of door script right there. We've got a timer right there. But then we had planned for this to actually go further and to be an entire server room / battery room, but we never really got into that. We just kind of ended up putting our timers where they were needed and our scripts as well in the same room that they were needed. So yeah, interesting idea though. We've got our component storage right here. I do really like this room. In fact, we have this room, which I don't think I ever set foot in other than the time I was building it, which again, something you guys can probably relate to, having rooms that you literally never go in. But we've got the buttons, which change the order of these things. This is for ammo. This one is for components, and we'd always planned to extend this as well. But in the settings that we have, we never really needed to. I don't think this thing ever got even close to being full. And certainly the ammo one didn't either. So maybe in the next series, we'll lower the amount of items that a cargo container can hold in hopes that it makes us make larger cargo rooms, which I think would make a little bit more sense. It'd be a little more realistic, surely. But I think that's the entire room over here, or the entire base. Other than our random ice solution right here that we never really made a giant ice thing. We just always said we were going to, and then never did. But oh, look at that. A beautiful view, screenshot worthy even, of the hangar. Will we build anything as big in the 2025 series? It remains to be seen. The closest other base we have over here, we have a bunch of Reaver carcasses over here, by the way, that we never went and collected, but toward the end of the series, we didn't really care about collecting anything anymore. Yeah, this base got utterly obliterated, but I did like this base. I found it a little interesting that it was originally a tiny base, and then it kind of got hit by the Reaver with this big crater, and then we kind of expanded into the Reaver hole, the Reaver crater that it made, and formed this a lot safer area, which turned out really well. We've got these 3 mining ships which never got destroyed. This one got a little damaged, but these 3 worked a lot. So much so that I bet you we have full containers over here if I check. Never mind, I guess the air and transport ship actually took all the ores over to the other base. All we have is ice, and we have a lot of it. But yeah, that was the space. It got destroyed. It does happen. Let's move on to the PAM base, flying over this way direction. Now the PAM base was interesting because it started just as a base that we collected at the start with a big combat encounter, and then sort of turned into our main hub for processing and everything like that. And I think it turned out pretty well. We have different ore processors for every ore that we might want to process here. We've got different landing pads. This whole area sort of, what the heck? Why are you getting ice dropped on you from up there? I don't know why this ship is here. That ship was originally over here and somehow ended up over there. So I don't know. Maybe it likes getting ice dropped on it. But anyway, yeah, the PAM base. At the start of this series, I didn't know anything about PAM or how they even went and mined ores and stuff like that, how to set up a base like this or anything. And we ended up actually getting a pretty decent base going, which eventually was able to support even refueling the AMG Snowstorm. So I like its little defenses. I don't think they had to use too many defenses very often, but yeah, PAM base, a great base. Let's move on to the Cofini base, which is right over here. And this is, I think, the final base. Well, we have the space bases, of course, but yeah, I think the Cofini base is probably the final interesting base that we have of the series. So the Cofini base, I had always planned to make a little bit bigger. I think that's the case with every base that we have in this series. I planned to make it bigger and cooler, but I think this ended up pretty well. If I can toot my own horn, Of course, these blocks never got finished, but it's fine. The Cofini base itself, we have these cool specialty foods, specialty drinks. I didn't actually, so there's quite a few people supporting the channel who are able to give me specialty foods and specialty drinks for the Patreon or YouTube membership stuff, but I think only one person ever did. So it was an interesting idea, and I really like it as a way to, you know, show support for supporters and stuff like that. And we'll probably end up doing it in the future. So if you're a supporter or you plan on supporting the channel monetarily, keep that in mind, because we'll do something like this. And the more people participate, the cooler it's going to be, having different specialty foods and stuff like that on the list. Of course, a lot of commenters participated anyway, so I was originally planning when I first did this to only show supporter stuff. You know, like if all of my supporters wanted an item, I would only really have room to show supporter stuff. But so many commenters commented that they had cool ideas, you know, Farappuccino, Reaver's Roast, the Cofini Croissant, the Cofini Cake, Sandstorm Sandwich, and much, much more that I was like, you know what, I've got to put these on as well. So yeah, I think the specialty versus the regular menu is a good way of doing that. And yeah, look out for that in future series, because we're probably going to do that as well. And you guys are so creative with the names you come up with. But anyway, yeah, the Cofini base, it's got the rooms, which I really like. The penthouse, grand suite, and standard suite. And it's got this thing right here, the what's it called? The singing place, the karaoke place, where it's got our song right on the little thing right there. We're no strangers to love. That's my, that was almost like the Goofy impression. How does he do it? He goes, yummy, we're no strangers to love. I don't know. My Goofy impression needs work. But anyway, let's go on upstairs. We'll see the rooms, which we spent a lot of time on. And these are nice. I think in Space Engineers 2, when the unified grid system is a thing, building rooms like this is going to be so much easier. You know, being able to, you know, make a bed right there, maybe put like a desk next to the bed, or have some light down there or something like that. It's going to be so cool. But for now, it still looks pretty cool. Probably what I would end up doing here is, here, if I may, just boop, boop. I would probably use this block right here, but of course we built this before this block was a thing, but we would use the corridor. Yes, perfect. So this is what we're looking for. We would end up doing some sort of door like this, where you hit it and you go in, and then you've got your bathroom right there. Of course, we're stuck when we go in, but oh man, can we actually not go into that? Oh, that's so bizarre. Maybe it's because of this window. You know what? If I were building this today, I'd probably do something like this, where we have a door that goes down like that. It goes into a shower and a bathroom right there, which I think looks a lot nicer. But we built this a long time ago. So yeah, we've learned a thing or two since then. And of course, that makes this jut out a little bit. So we have to figure out some way to do, you know, something. I don't know. You know, we'd do something like that. But anyway, yeah, this is the Cofini base. The other rooms, I'll give you a quick tour of those as well. Again, I don't know how many of you are going to be interested in a tour, because you probably watched the series if you're at this point, but it's a nice little way to look at how we did things and where we are at. The aquarium, of course, which requires a gravity generator, or a couple gravity components, which I always found a little bit funny. But yeah, books are good. Books, beds, bathrooms, and beyond. This one does have sort of a hidden bathroom. I actually like how we did this. This is pretty good. But anyway, yeah, let's go to the penthouse real quick. I actually forgot what the penthouse looks like. We had this area down here, which doesn't really serve much of a purpose other than allowing the penthouse to be a little higher up. And then of course up here, we have the penthouse itself with plans to go higher, but we never got there. And here's the penthouse with our modern art. It's kind of funny how that ended up, but yeah, nice little book area, little drink area. We've got the bathroom without a shower. Probably should have added a shower into the penthouse, but we've got our Van Gogh art over there. We've got a cool little bedroom, and yeah, this is good. I like this. Do we still have the missing? Yeah, we do still have a missing block right here. That's kind of funny. That's the things you remember that are the most funny. But anyway, yeah, that's essentially the Cofini base. All in all, I think the Cofini base is one of the happiest things that we did, in my opinion, turning what was sort of a mining outpost originally into like a proper coffee bar slash hotel slash parking area slash karaoke place. It's very, I like it. I like it a lot. Also, can I just say the fact that you can actually see the main base over there from the Cofini penthouse is amazing. You can see the iconic three towers right there. Also, it's a rule of three is really with my series, isn't it? In the 2021 survival series, we had the 3 windmill towers, and in this series we have the 3 solar towers. What's going to be next series? Like a 3-person, or maybe like a 3-pronged hydrogen engine tower? I think at this point we're going to have to do it. Let's go check out our space bases. They're not very interesting, but we'll go check them out nonetheless because they are up here. We have the uranium outpost and the comms outpost. We'll start with the uranium outpost over here. So the uranium outpost itself, it's not much to look at. It's just kind of an automated drilling system that we built at some point in the series, and a little bit of a refinery slash, you know, other stuff area.
Energy.
This is one of the few things in the series that I probably had no further plans for. You know, the uranium outpost was always just going to be like a tiny little outpost thing, and that's all it ever was going to be. If I had to spend, you know, an hour building up this base, I probably could make it look a little nice, but at the end of the day, it's like a mining, drilling platform. That's really all it is. Let's go look at the comms outpost. Comms outpost is a little more interesting, at least. So the comms outpost was our first destination when we actually landed on in space. So this is where we set up our laser antenna pointed directly at our bay. Is it over there? Yeah, our base over there. But yeah, it's pointed directly at our base. So this is what allows communication between the base and this. And then we have a normal antenna, which allows us to communicate to our uranium outpost over there. But the comms base, I definitely could spend a little bit of time making it look a little bit nicer. This I could probably put along the sides and have like a walkway coming out to this laser antenna for maintenance or whatever. But we did at least spend a little bit of time because we have this initial stuff, but we also have this interior right here that we actually built out. So looking in the interior, it's got a proper room. It's got a proper bathroom. This is where I learned that I could do the shower and the bathroom instead of just the bathroom itself. Maybe I should teleport myself here so I can walk around. But the view of the Earth is why I put this in right here. So you could actually see the Earth-like planet. And at this point, I believe this was halfway through the year that we did this. I actually still had plans of going to the Earth-like planet and doing something on it in this, you know, 2024 series. But we never got around to it, of course, because we had so much to do on Europa, which is why in the 2025 series, we're planning to do a little bit more exploration rather than just staying in one place the entire series. So back on the, I almost said back on Earth, back on the Europa area, it's always on the main area where the base is that I always have these lofty ideas. For instance, a couple of you commented, and this is something I wanted to do as well, about having some sort of underground path that could go to our PAM base and our Cofini base, and even going so far as turning it into a tram. I think that would be really cool, and that's something that I hadn't really planned to do, but it's something that I thought would be really neat if we could end up doing. Having a tram going to both of these locations. Again, it wouldn't be something that we would ever actually use, but it's kind of a novelty thing that I think would be neat. And I do like doing some stuff for novelty, not for its actual function. Sometimes I go function over form, and sometimes I go form over function. Relating directly with the space base, and in fact, one of the reasons that I set up all of this in the first place is because I was inspired by a comment that said we should have some sort of system to basically click a button and then have our uranium outpost send us a load of uranium via some sort of ship with a parachute or something like that. And when I read that comment, I thought, hey, that would actually be really possible. In fact, we could even use the event, what are these called? Not event controllers, but action relays and stuff like that in order to do that. But then when I thought we could use the action relays, I was like, what if you could do more than just send a little signal? What if you could do all these like codes and stuff? And then I got to this and I kind of got carried away and ended up doing all of this. But the original inspiration was to do something like that, having the uranium outpost receive a message from us, and then we could like send a ship down to the main base with the click of a button. We never got around to doing that because we didn't really go back up to the uranium base until the end, but it's another cool idea that next time we build an outpost, it would be an interesting thing to sort of set up something similar. So if I remember, you can expect something like that in the next series, the 2025 series. In addition to cool lofty ideas, on the Cofini base, I kept getting a comment that we should have some sort of turning sign that says like Cofini or something. And it would just be slowly turning, kind of like you see at old drive-ins or something like that, or movie theaters, with the slow turning sign so that everyone can see. That was an interesting idea, and I really wanted to end up doing that. And we almost did it in the episode that we built the karaoke booth, but we ran out of time in that episode, and then I never got around to doing it again, unfortunately. But that is another really cool idea. And next time we do something similar to Cofini or anything like that, where we build kind of a form over function entertainment base or whatever, we'll definitely do something like that. But anyways, there's always more ideas than you can do, and as with this series, there are ideas that we didn't get around to, but it's okay, because with the end of this series comes the start of a new one, and it's time for more ideas to get flowing with that series. But anyway, let's get to the thing that you guys have probably been waiting for, which is the comparison of the Sandstorm and the Snowstorm. So first of all, let's get the one that you guys all know, the Snowstorm out here. So I'll press F10 to open up my blueprint menu, and we'll go for the Snowstorm. And I think what I'll do is I'm just going to grab the Snowstorm Mark II end of 2024 one. Even though it's got a couple of broken bits on it, I do need to still make it look a little bit nicer and stuff like that. But let's go ahead and put it right over here somewhere. So the Snowstorm, yeah, you guys know this ship. You guys love this ship. We've been working on it all series. If you don't know it, I'd have to question a couple things. But let's put it right. Can I press B to align to gravity? I guess that's already aligned. Let's go ahead and put it right there. Hopefully it doesn't fall. But if it falls, at the very least, there's no coffee roaster under it. Yeah, it's got some broken bits. That's fine. That's just how we ended the series. But yeah, there's the Snowstorm. Let's get the Sandstorm out here. So for those of you who have never seen this, the Sandstorm in all of its glory, the Sandstorm is the ship that we built in the 2021 survival series, and it is the predecessor of the Snowstorm. This is what we collected halfway through this series and returned here. It's going to be pasted as a station, but that's fine. This is what we collected halfway through this series and returned to this little bay over there and then turned into the Snowstorm. So this is the Sandstorm as it was originally built. And it's very, very shiny. Let's see how they compare in size, because you know oh my gosh, yeah, you can definitely tell the Snowstorm is quite a bit heftier. It doesn't help that I didn't line them up perfectly, but you can see the Snowstorm is wider, it's longer, and if I go down here, heck, it's even taller. Watch. Actually, it is taller, or maybe it actually might be taller. Even though the Sandstorm originally had this giant sort of area right here that we completely removed on the Snowstorm, I think the Snowstorm might still be taller, which is crazy to me. But anyway, yeah, that might be the biggest difference between the Snowstorm and the Sandstorm, that control tower right there that is completely gone on the Snowstorm. And also the fact that on the Sandstorm, we have this giant sunroof, whereas on the Snowstorm, we don't have as big of a sunroof. We have more of like a control area and then a tiny sunroof right there. We also have these kind of long lines of windows, whereas on this one, we have windows up there, we have windows down there, and we have windows over there, but it's not just one long line. You can definitely tell we learned a lot when we were upgrading the Sandstorm into the Snowstorm. Just by doing that over the course of the episodes that we did, we learned a lot about greebling and making things look a lot nicer. Definitely the Snowstorm is a lot less blocky, I want to say. Although I wouldn't necessarily call the Sandstorm blocky, it's just very smooth in a lot of bits. One other area that you'll notice completely missing in the Snowstorm is this right here, the little drone launchers. So we originally had the drone launchers planned for the Sandstorm, and in fact they even worked on the planet, but when we got into space and when we were actually moving around, these did not work at all because the ships would just crash into the side right there once they were released from their connector. So of course, as I'm sure you saw in the series, we actually made it right here, actually on the front right here, where the ships launch upward instead of outward, so that even if it's still going, even if the ship is going, the ships will kind of clear it as we're moving. So it works a lot better. And in practice, it works a lot better. In this one, I believe in the finale of the 2021 series, we were able to see it in practice and it did not work at all. Did not help that these are not space-worthy ships, by the way. I completely forgot when we launched to turn these into ion ships. These custom side weapons we removed altogether on the Snowstorm in favor of normal weapons. We added the customs down here, but all in all, we have 2 less custom turrets on the Snowstorm than on the Sandstorm, and I like that because the custom turrets are a lot harder to repair. So I do like having normal turrets. This area right here, we did a little bit more greebling on the Snowstorm, and I think it ended up looking pretty nicely other than the wooden texture right there. Looks a little weird, but yeah, for the most part, I definitely like the Snowstorm's variation of that a lot better. Looking toward the front, the Sandstorm actually had a lot more firepower in the form of these 2 railguns that the Snowstorm completely lacks. And of course, the Snowstorm has a lot more drilling power in the form of a Prototech drill that the Sandstorm completely lacks. So, you know, to each their own. There's the very, very fancy cockpit of the Sandstorm versus the very, very fancy cockpit of the Snowstorm right there. I do like the Snowstorms better. It's got a lot more seats and it's got a lot less empty space. There is the disco room of the Snowstorm versus the disco room of the Sandstorm, which is a lot smaller and does not have that bottom area. Yeah, it's very tiny. It's got a little seating area, but it does not have this entire bottom section that we ended up adding down there. Let's go inside the front door of the Sandstorm and see how it compares to going inside the front door of the Snowstorm. So the front door of the Sandstorm Oh, we have to actually close this before we can open this one because we have these in a script. The front door of the Sandstorm opens directly into the hangar right here, and you can just go up a ladder right there and you're at the top of the hangar. There's nothing right here in this hallway. There's, you can see this entire hangar right here. You can see up everywhere, and there's nothing down there. It's just a big hangar. That's pretty much all it is. Compare that with going inside the front door of the Snowstorm, and you can see that there's this sort of little mudroom sort of deal. There's a little sign telling you can go up. If you go up, you've got a cool little area right here, which is a little seating area. It goes to this this room right here, which on the Sandstorm was empty space. If you want to actually get into the hangar, you can go down here. And in fact, even here doesn't put you into the hangar. This puts you into a room under the hangar. And then you have to go through here to get to the actual hangar, which has a lot less space down here. It's only got one connector instead of having two, which the Sandstorm did have. The side stairs are very standardized, I guess. You've got this normal stairwell on the left and on the right, which look like any stairwell that you've seen in any building you've ever been in, compared to the Sandstorm, which does have left and right stairwells, but they just kind of go up and then up, just like that. And this one goes up and up like that as well. I think both designs aren't bad. In the Sandstorm, you do have a lot more empty space, which is what I kind of tried to eliminate on the Snowstorm. The goal was to remove as much empty space as possible. But if you needed a cargo hold, this is probably a little bit better because you do have this much empty space. You can put stuff down here, you can put stuff over there. We definitely would not have been looking for different places we could put things in the Sandstorm, whereas in the Snowstorm we kind of were running out of space a little bit for our ships. But yeah, another area that's very different on the Sandstorm versus the Snowstorm is going to be this back area right here, where we do have this thing that we have in the Snowstorm, but we're lacking any entrance that goes out to the side on this side or any entrance that goes out to the side on that side. We don't have a bathroom back here. Instead, we have a door that goes to the Willis ducts. It's very similar, right? It's got the stairs that go on both sides, whereas the Snowstorm only has the one side stairs. But it's a very similar design, just the Snowstorm, again, removing a lot of that empty space in favor of other things. On the Snowstorm, you of course have the control area that's right up there, and then you have stairs that go up that way. And if you go out this way, it doesn't bring you outside, but it brings you to those little side compartments that let you walk along the outside of the ship. Whereas this one brings you completely to the outside of the ship. You can walk along the top of it, which you can't really do with the Snowstorm. Oh, actually, this is another big difference with the Sandstorm and the Snowstorm. The Snowstorm has this little area. Instead of having the drone control thing where it's printing drones and stuff, it's got this little area that goes into the inside right here, the big glass room where you can basically see whichever way you want to see. This is what eventually turned into that room over there. But of course right here it's just a lot of empty space with blue lights that I thought looked kind of cool at the time. The Sandstorm also has a couple of little connectors up here that you can use, and it's got a little downward area right here, which is again kind of empty space. This leads down to the middle of the ship. If you go through here, yeah, it leads down into there. Whereas this one over here leads to the front of the ship, I believe. You open that, yeah, leads over to the front. Oh, we've got music over here. Hang on now. Maybe the Sandstorm does have something going for it. Anyway, yeah, that about sums up the creation. The Snowstorm would definitely win in a fight, as it's got 3 artillery cannons to the Sandstorm's 1. It's got, what, like 7, maybe even 9 assault cannons to the Sandstorm's 2. On the back, the Sandstorm has the 3 custom turrets, whereas the Snowstorm has 2 autocannon turrets, 2 normal turrets, and then 2 more normal turrets up top. 2 more normal turrets. It's got so many turrets. The Sandstorm, or the Snowstorm's gonna win this fight anytime, any day of the week. It's got more gyros. It's got the Prototech gyros. It's got the Prototech jump drive. It can do, it can run circles around this thing. In terms of raw power, the Snowstorm and the Sandstorm are probably pretty equally compared. They have the same number of thrusters on the top, the same number of thrusters on the back. They have, like, you can definitely tell they're taken from the same design, right? Because they've got the same number of thrusters on the side, the same number on the front, I believe. It's just got the 2, 2, and then 2. Oh, actually, hang on. The Sandstorm actually has more thrusters on the front, probably because I didn't realize there was supposed to be another thruster there, so I didn't actually put it in. But yeah, this could definitely use one more. So the Sandstorm has more stopping power. And then on the bottom, I think the Sandstorm might have more boosters as well, because it goes all the way to back here, whereas here we opted to turn this into a weapon instead of having more thrusters there. So anyway, yeah, that's your comparison. The Snowstorm would probably win in a fight. The Sandstorm would probably win in a race, especially because the Snowstorm is a little heavier. In fact, you know what? I can actually put this to the test. Let's go to a random spot in space and let's see who would actually win in a fight. All right, we've got these 2 ships set up. There's the Sandstorm over there, and there is the Snowstorm. We're gonna go ahead and give the Sandstorm to the Space Pirates, and we're gonna see what happens. So let's go to my everything right there, transfer to Space Pirates, and let's see who wins this battle. They should immediately start firing. Or should they? Do the Space Pirates like me now? Yeah, the Space Pirates like me. All right, let's try this again. We're pasting our ship in. It should belong to the Space Pirates. Yep, there we go. Okay, it's a Space Pirate ship. Let's see if it does any... Oh, okay, here we go. It actually looks like they might start fighting. The only problem is I don't know if these turrets are gonna do anything because they're just kind of chilling. Are you guys... You're on. You've got ammo. Okay, oh yeah, there we go. Okay, they're firing. Sweet. All right, we've got a battle going on. Let's see how this plays out. Let's see who wins, the Snowstorm or the Sandstorm. They both have equivalent AI settings, so they're targeting weapons. So let's see how this plays out. These, of course, are the 3 main weapons of the Sandstorm, if we're not counting the giant railguns on the front, which I don't think they've even used. It's turning in a weird direction, but that should give these weapons some shots. Never mind, that one is completely blown off. Let's look at the damage that's on this Snowstorm. Let's see how this one's going. Oh, that's a lot of fire happening right now. We've got some damage right here to one of the thrusters, damage to another thruster even, but all these turrets are turning to fire right now. Let's see how the top turrets are looking. Yeah, we've got our artillery turrets aiming. We've got these artillery turrets down here aiming as well. We'll take a step back here, maybe have another look at this. I don't even know that the Sandstorm's fired its railguns yet. I think it's just kind of chilling there. Let me see, how's the Sandstorm doing at this point? Because I think it's going to be more interesting to look at that. It's taking a lot more damage. In fact, let's see. So it does have thrusters up here, so it is maybe choosing to... Well, it's turning itself downward. Maybe it's looking for a shot with those railguns. Let's see. It could potentially still do a lot of damage with those things if it takes a shot. But I don't know if it's going to. That's really what it needs, right? Oh, that's a hard hit on the artillery cannon right there. How are we looking? And not to mention, this hasn't even launched drones. Neither has the Sandstorm, of course, but yeah, drones are not in the playing field at this point. This is just static weapons. Oh, that's a glancing shot right off the front of the Sandstorm. Sandstorm still does have a bunch of weapons in the back, so if it turns itself around, these could come into play, and those are strong weapons. But it looks like the side turrets are completely gone on this side. Our top turrets are, well, they've seen better days, certainly. There goes the artillery. And the side turrets on this side are completely gone as well. So the Sandstorm doesn't have much more to go for it. Whereas the Snowstorm is still very much in this fight. There we go. They're still taking out this one turret right there, and there goes that one. So the Sandstorm's completely out of weapons on the top. It does have these guys, but I don't think that these weapons are going to do anything. I don't think it's even close enough. But yeah, that's how that has played out. The sad thing as well is that the only thing the Sandstorm damaged is going to be the thrusters down on the bottom. It has not damaged any weapons. It's only damaged these thrusters down here. In fact, it completely destroyed this one, but the Snowstorm doesn't care because the Snowstorm's got plenty more thrusters. Oh, it's actually taken out this turret as well. So this turret, and I believe there might have been a second turret right there. There was one right there. So it's taken out all the bottom front turrets, which is interesting. But anyways, there was a fun little battle between the Sandstorm and the Snowstorm. The Snowstorm has come out victorious, not with very many scratches either, and it hasn't even used its drones. But anyways, guys, I think this is where we're going to end our bonus episode of Survival 2024. This was just a little fun thing to take a look at the base that we built, to take a look at the 2 ships that we have in our arsenal. If I added the if I added the Big Red to this thing, I don't think it would fare any better, honestly. Big Red doesn't have very many weapons on it. Big Red was built before there were the assault cannons or artillery cannons, long before any of that stuff. So I'll put it out there just so you can see it, but it's not really much to look at. And it doesn't have an AI thing. All right, our 2 ships are actually trying to fly away right now, so I need to catch up to them real quick, but I'll put Big Red in right here. And Big Red does have those weapons right there on the top, but it's not really going to be fair because Big Red's going to be on the AMG Snowstorm side. Those weapons are going to attack. Yeah. There we go. There's our ships. This Big Red. Big Red was before I was confident with hydrogen, so I just did atmospheric I did a little bit of hydrogen, I guess, but atmospheric and ion, and then a lot of atmospheric thrusters on the bottom. Oh man, taking a couple hits. But anyway, yeah, that's gonna be the end of this one. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I tried to do a little bonus episode after this series. I did this on the 2021 survival series as well, where we checked out the 2 ships that we had, the Big Red and the Sandstorm. So I think it was a little bit fun to do the Sandstorm and the Snowstorm, just to see what the difference is. Oh, poor Sandstorm. Oh no. No, poor Sandstorm. Okay, well, yeah, that's the end of this one. I really hope you guys enjoyed. Stay tuned for Survival 2025 because it's going to be coming. And yeah, let me know what you thought about this in the comments section below. Anything that I missed, anything that you wanted to see more of, anything like that. And with that, I will see you all. I'm just watching the Sandstorm kind of do a somersault over there. It's kind of funny. But anyways, with that, I will see you all in Space Engineers Survival 2025. Goodbye, everybody, and thanks for watching.